Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you if you are tuning in. Thanks to the 5 people that decided to. My name is Anthony, coming to you on this Football Worldwide platform for this European weekly catch-up episode that is usually brought to you by the very handsome, dynamic duo. That is Jonathan and Bruno. Both of them are working hard always at the moment. And I'm happy to fill in for today's particular shift. So instead of just putting up a video, because I can get a little lazy with the editing process and whatnot, I just thought I'd go live after having a good couple of chats with some people on the Interworldwide and this platform as well. So if anybody does end up tuning in live, let me know who you are, where you're from, if you're a familiar face. And let me know if there's anything in particular that you want me to discuss that goes up in any of the 5 biggest domestic leagues in Europe. Now, forgive me, my knowledge, especially when it comes to Ligue 1 in France and the Bundesliga in Germany is extremely restricted to only really in-depth extended highlights, whether they're 20 minutes, 25 minutes, those usual really good roundups. So I'm going to get through most of it as quick as I possibly can today, just so it doesn't fall on any dead ears and whatnot. So of the 5 big leagues, I think, where should I start? I have the luxury of choosing. I think we might start in Spain on this particular match day. Why not? So once again, if anybody does come into this video, let me know who you are, where you're watching from, and definitely let's keep this up. Let's keep it up. How you doing, Mo? Nice to see you, my friend. As always, thought it would be a little past your bedtime at the moment. Let's start with La Liga, right? Now, my slides aren't that great. I've tried to cram it all in together, but you can still get the gist of what's going on at the moment. So just pretty much, not from the top. We'll just see wherever I can land my eyes on. And forgive me once again, I managed to catch all the highlights to these leagues, but we'll see how I go. Espanyol 1, Betis 4. Betis keep their good form, man. Nabil Fekir, what a player he is. He was involved in a lot in this one, and his great form continues along with Jose. They now have 40 points and 12 wins this season, which is amazing. That's why the Betis fans are buzzing. Villarreal 3, Mallorca 0. Comfortable win to keep them from sniffing around the European places. Sevilla ended up drawing 2-2 against Celta Vigo. They were down 2-0. Actually, early in the game, Papu Gomez ended up getting his second goal in 3 matches, giving us Serie A fans that old Atalanta vibe with his cut in on the right-hand side. Oliver Torres completed the comeback. Celta will be upset to not have gotten 3 points, but hey, it is what it is. Sevilla welcomed Anthony Martial from Manchester United this week, actually, and that's very, very important for them to look to get a few goals as they look to, move a little bit clearer in their race to secure a top 4 spot. They're second at the moment behind Madrid, but they're 11 points clear in the UCL zone. I see 7 people in here right now, which is really good. Let me know if you're here and who you are and where you're coming from. I thought I'd just go live to see if we can get any sort of chat or live community happening here after what was an extraordinary live on Interworldwide this morning. Atletico Madrid 3, Valencia 2. What a game this was. I actually did catch a fair bit of this. Atletico come from behind once again from 2-0 to win at 3-2. It didn't look like they stood a chance, to be honest. They were actually really poor throughout large parts of the match. Simeone went absolutely nuts afterwards, and his subs, especially Correa, Angel Correa, was the difference maker. Atletico sit in 4th, basically, with 36 points. Barca breathing down their necks after getting their result against Deportivo Alaves. Frankie de Jong, he got a much-needed goal as well. Xavi's side, they continue to scrap their way to the top, and eventually you just got to sort of assume that they'll get one of these top 4 positions. I know our friend Jono is a Barcelona fan. He might be a little bit more pessimistic or optimistic, I'm not sure, but they're starting to really slowly restore that sort of pride that they knew would come with a manager like Xavi. Real Madrid 2-2, also down as well, but Benzema missing. I think it was his first penalty ever for Real Madrid. Correct me if I'm wrong. It might have been the first since the first season, but he missed a penalty and he never, ever misses. He then went off with an injury. So when it comes to Real Madrid in that situation, they won't be too happy with that injury at the moment. Hopefully he's fit for them for the Champions League, especially Modric and Eder Militao in stoppage time from a Vinicius assist is basically what saved them a point here. They're still 4 points clear at the top. So, I'm going to take a quick break from this and just go over. Mo is in the house. Jono is here as well. Adriana from the Culture Guys is in the house. That's what I'm talking about, all the way from Canada. It's good to hear from you, man. Matt Pickham as well. Which team fizzes out in La Liga? Imagine Betis hold their position. That's a good question, bro. That's a really good question. I think that after injecting Martial, you can bet that Sevilla are in it for the long haul. In terms of objectively, Atletico Madrid look the likeliest to drop out, but they've got the pedigree and the continuity. If you're not going to talk about who doesn't have the pedigree and the continuity, it is Real Betis. But who knows? Plenty of La Liga to come and play with. There are 10 people live with us on Football Worldwide. right now, which makes me extremely happy. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you are new, and if you are watching on one of the other platforms that we are streaming on, if it's into worldwide, make sure you also jump over to the Football Worldwide platform, like and subscribe as well. Next results, Athletic Club defeats Vallecano 1-0 after defeating Barca in the Copa midweek. So they're riding on a little bit of a hot form. Marcelino's side, good for him. And another couple of results, Levante couldn't score at home and neither could Granada. There is the table that you're looking at for La Liga. That is Spain for you guys for this week. Let's move over to the Bundesliga, to Germany. You know, I don't get to catch much Bundesliga, not ever, if ever. But hey, let's have a look at some of these games. I managed to catch 7 of these extended highlights and then just really short highlights for the other 2. Hoffenheim fell victim to Dortmund with Haaland opening the scoreline very early after 6 minutes. Back and forth most of the game on this one, a little bit physical as well. Kamaric equalized, but Haaland also came off towards the end of the match, but it's not as serious as first looked. And when you look at their position on the ladder, Dortmund, sorry that you can't see the points in that particular one, but they're on 49 points. And yeah, sorry, they're 43 points. They're 6 points off Bayern at the top, but they've got an 8-point buffer zone over Leverkusen. You pretty much know that they're locked in to finish second in this league. So not too much to worry about them. Pardon me. RB Leipzig in the match of the round got the 2-0 win over Wolfsburg. RB dominated this game. Wolfsburg looked okay in spells. They're probably going to sack their manager after this match, to be honest, because I forget his name actually, but he's not. He's in hot water, man. He won his first 3 games in November and hasn't won a game since. And that means the sacking is looking absolutely imminent. Freiburg defeated Stuttgart by 2-0. Stuttgart, who are struggling. Ito opened the scoring on the half-hour mark, and there was a goal in the 67th for Kevin Schade. And that moves Freiburg up to 5th, who are having a fantastic position. Stuttgart, in regards to previous seasons, not performing very well. Leverkusen smashed 5 past Augsburg. Probably said that name wrong as well. I've heard a couple of people say it differently. As expected, they've got 3 wins in a row, just making sure that they're in the hunt to play Champions League football. And the big, bad Bayern Bavarians, it's just no mercy with these guys. Anybody who watches Bundesliga or Bundesliga highlights, and I cross-referenced this with a friend of mine who stayed in Germany for 2.5 years, 3 years. When Bayern Munich score a goal at their home ground, and they were away in this match, but they play like a version of the can-can, and it's very psychologically damaging, especially if you start conceding 5, 6, 7 goals. I really think Bayern go for the throat and go for the brain as well when they go in for the kill. So there's your ladder at the end of match day 20 for the Bundesliga. All is going almost as expected. Let's move on to the EPL. Well, what a match day this was. We had a couple of big boys drop points. But in the end, it's still looking pretty much the way you expect it to look in England. Steven Gerrard keeps making waves, doesn't he? And Lucas Dean as well, who provided an assist against his former club, Everton. And then some non-gentleman character from the crowd decided to throw a bottle into there. And, everybody ducks like they've just been hit with a bomb. But at the end of the day, not the sort of behavior you want to see. Everton are still in the mud. They just look a shadow of what they were meant to be under Benitez, who's not there. They're just not firing on all fronts. For me personally, they might want to cash in on a couple of their players and try to reset. Maybe Calvert-Lewin, he'd be a pretty good pickup for anybody in the EPL. Another Chelsea win over Spurs. That's 4 wins in a row for Chelsea over Spurs this season. And I don't think Spurs have even gotten a goal under their belt in the process, albeit they've faced them with Antonio Conte 3 out of those 4 times. It was a very physical encounter. There was a big dubious decision when it came to Harry Kane. Tacked his arms on Thiago Silva, who ironically went on to score the second goal for Chelsea after a Mason Mount free kick got on his head. And for me personally, it just people are shouting things like game's gone. And you can see why. Like with this slow rhythm VAR sort of stuff, anything looks like a foul. I watch Serie A week in, week out. I sacrifice sleep to watch smaller games. And the way that the penalties get given in that league as well, it's not good. It's a really, really bad look for the sport at the moment. And I don't think it's going to get any better either. So it's impossible to tell. And the consistency is even worse. That Hakam Ziyech goal, though, please. Like, that's just too much class. Oozing class. 3 precious points for Tuchel. Conte, I love you so much. My guy, being an Inter fan, I'll always be thankful to Conte. But, what are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? That's a tricky one. Let's see if Antonio Conte has the patience to withstand Levy, or is he going to throw him under the bus? We'll see what happens there, man. John O'Shelby got a free kick 3 points away to Leeds, and absolute scenes away for the Toon. Are they finally picking up enough momentum, would people say, to guarantee safety? I think so. There's a lack of points, though, at the moment that's hurting them in the transfer market. And just speaking, from a subjective Inter point of view, it looks like my boys have just landed Robin Gosens for a very cutthroat price of 22 to 25 million. That could have been the perfect pickup for Newcastle, and they've missed out big time because their project isn't as appealing when you're still flirting with relegation. Even the signing of Coutinho was looking like it was going into the Newcastle direction before Aston Villa came in. So that's definitely hurt them in this market. They probably will survive the drop, and I hope that they do because it looks like they're building something special, but we'll see what happens there. Palace 1, Liverpool 3. Jota wins a penalty by basically running into the goalkeeper. I couldn't believe that it was a penalty. Once again, game's gone, and at least it wasn't decisive for the game, right? Liverpool, comfortable winners in the end, and they make sure that they're probably going to get that second spot because they've got a couple of games in hand against Chelsea. Still a very good shot to challenge City for the title, though. I'm not prepared to say that league title is completely done yet. Tune into Mo and Everything EPL, and they'll probably give you a more in-depth dive of what they think is going to happen. Thank you to the 7 people that are sticking around on Football Worldwide. I'm happy to work with that. And make sure you like the video as well if you are here. Southampton, with the shock of the round, they hold City to 1-1, even though Pep says it was his team's best game of the season. You got to love Pep, right? You got to love him. Anything to make sure that he leaves on a high note. City still absolutely killing it. Their goal difference is very good, 57 points. You expect them to win their next 4 or 5 games on the bounce whenever they drop points in the Premier League. 1-1 between Leicester and Brighton. It keeps them both locked at 9th and 10th, each separated by 4 points on the ladder. West Ham almost secured a really good point away to Old Trafford in the battle for top 4, but in the build-up to the last goal, it was almost unfair. I'm watching it, and Ronaldo kicks the ball to Martial, who kicks it to Cavani, who ends up going to Rashford. It's too much class. It's not fair because United haven't looked like they've had a tactical identity for a while, but as of now, it looks like it's finally coming through the cracks under Rangnick a little bit because 6 wins, 3 draws, 1 loss, 14 scored, 7 against. He's averaging 2.13 points a game, which is second only to basically Man City at the moment since he's taken over. Of course, there are a lot of players that, probably aren't as adaptable to his very authoritarian style approach of coaching, but enough of these guys who are mooching a salary, enough of these guys who are basically stealing a wage at this club, I think it should all come down to who wants to play for the shirt. And if that means weeding a few out and substituting Cristiano Ronaldo and watching him have a whinge a couple of times, so be it. In terms of their transfer market, Man United, Lingard and Donny van de Beek are expected to exit along with Martial, who's just gone to Sevilla. No signings expected for the Red Devils, however. Dean Smith and Norwich City pumped Watford 3-0 and got the Tinkerman Claudio Ranieri sacked. Watch out for him getting a job back in Serie A next season, in my opinion. But back-to-back wins for Norwich. And, hey, man, they actually are looking like they might be able to pull up a fight. Now we've got a real relegation battle on our side. They're out of the relegation zone. They'll probably drop back in once or twice before season's end. But this looks like it could be a relegation fight that goes down to that final day, which is not something that's rare in England whatsoever. Arsenal with a ball draw against Burnley, which leaves their fans furious for points. Their time in the top 4 was about as long as their run in the FA Cup, to be honest. Aubameyang not traveling either with the squad. Another dead wage and a dead issue that needs doing it. It's like Groundhog Day with Mesut Ozil with that. And hopefully their transfer staff and their team has sort of learnt their lesson here. Wolves go away to Brentford and win 2-1. I think that's 3 on the bounce for them now. Actually, drones delaying the game, which was the funniest thing about it. But ultimately, the big Portuguese chicken connection of Neves and Moutinho. Oof, man, it's so hot. It's red hot. They deserve to be at a bigger club, to be honest. Well done to Wolves. Very well done to Wolves. That's all for the EPL. Hey, look at this. The Familiar League, the Serie A, my favorite. Verona 2, Bologna 1, Genoa and Udinese play out a ball draw as well. Inter and Venezia, those are my boys. We had to wait for Edin Dzeko to get the winner right on the buzzer pretty much. Last minute of the game, we were not that good. We were flat-footed, but that's what champions do. They get the 3 points where the 3 points need to count. Hopefully they can continue with that. Inter are sitting pretty at the top of Serie A. Once again, I apologize that the graphic is cut off, but they have a little bit of a lead. Now it's 4 with a game in hand. That game in hand to come against Bologna. Lazio and Atalanta, 2 attacking sides, were expected to bring the fire a little bit more. Both were a little conservative. Sarri, his pragmatic display against Gasperini, who's had to change his tactics a little bit recently for Atalanta, to accommodate with for a lot of players who are missing. But expect Atalanta to really burst back into form soon when the likes of Zapata, Malinovsky, Iachich come back into the situation. They are going through a little bit of a transition period, though, in terms of personnel. Robin Gosens, who's been an integral part of Atalanta in their resurgence all the way pretty much through, he's going to Inter. Now, their loss is our gain. They won't be missing him too much because he's been injured and out of action for them. And they've just signed Jeremy Borga from Sassuolo, who's a really, really, really good pickup. He's inconsistent, but when he's on, he is on, man. Sassuolo drew 1-1 away to Torino as well, which isn't a bad point for either side. They occupy similar positions in the standings. Torino exceptionally more improved this season under their coach Ivan Juric, who was coaching Hellas Verona last season, if anybody didn't know. Moving down there, Cagliari 1, Fiorentina 1. Of course, the biggest headline in Italy at the moment is Fiorentina's hitman assassin Dusan Vlahovic, best forward in Serie A, best striker in Serie A by a country mile, is signing for the Bianconeri and going to Turin to be Juventus's latest acquisition. He is a brilliant player. He has got the world is this guy's ceiling, honestly. Let's hope Juventus build the team around him properly if you're a Juve fan. But honestly, make sure they do it properly. They screwed up by not doing that around Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't think they'll make that mistake again. Expect Juve to be back up, challenging for the title next season, that's for sure. And they might have just locked in a Champions League spot this season as well. Napoli smacked Salernitana 4-1, which is actually more of a derby when you look at it at the moment compared when you look at the geographical context of the teams in Serie A. Salernitana was very interesting for anybody watching who doesn't follow Serie A. They had actually agreed personal terms with Diego Costa, who was playing, I think, in Brazil. And I forget who it might have been with Atletico Mineiro. And I actually think he might have won the league with Hulk in the team as well. And that's amazing because I think that they've backtracked on the deal last minute and said that because of his physical fitness issues, might be something else as well, that they don't want to sign him. That's a pretty big wage for a club like Salernitana, even though he's taking a cut. And you've got to think with the bad boy that Diego Costa is, he's probably coming to Salerno, a beautiful city, for the vino, for the food, for the women, for anything but the hard work and the training. So maybe it's a good deal for Salernitana to let that one go, especially since they've just hired a very competent director in Walter Sabatini, who has directed at the likes of Inter and Roma before. He sort of knows what he's doing. Also, there's a couple of us boys that talk calcio, and we think that Claudio Ranieri, who was just sacked by Watford, probably going to make an appearance next season in Serie A. Look out, Salernitana might be actually one of the names on the list, especially if they survive the drop. I'm disappointed that the points table is not showing here now because Salernitana, after actually getting a few points recently, they're up to 10 points, which isn't a lot. They need 8 points out of the relegation zone. It's going to be a massive uphill climb for these guys. It really is. Thank you to any of the 8 people that are joining at the moment. Definitely like the video and let me know where you are. Matt Pickham says, major twist, Vlahovic coming to Inter. Yeah, that's definitely not going to happen, man. We can dream, but he is wearing black and white very, very soon. Spezia, for anybody watching who doesn't watch Serie A, Spezia is coached by Thiago Motta, former Inter and PSG superstar, who has just made them win 4 in their last 6 games. That's quite incredible. They were flirting with relegation. They now have a ridiculous 8 or 9 point buffer, I think it is, 7-point buffer. 8-point buffer over relegation, and that's like finding treasure in a buried beach if you're in the relegation zone, man. Huge points for Motta and their players. They might just be able to stay up in Serie A this season, contrary to what I thought. Empoli 2, Roma 4, the nation's capital, very much so representing here and getting very important 3 points for Jose after they beat Walter Mazzarri's Cagliari last week with 1-0. Adriano Dinardo coming in, the Calcio guys. Make sure you're liking and subscribing. These guys, great people. The Ribery Diego Costa could have been like, oh man, that would have been something, wouldn't it, bro? That Diego Costa Ribery combination, very, very good. Spezia beating Milan and Napoli in that run too. Exactly, Matt. 2 of those wins came against the 2nd and 3rd place team in Serie A. And of course, the last game, the big one on the match day, absolute snooze fest by these standards. AC Milan 0, Juventus 0. Both teams happy with a point. Juve, I think they registered 1 shot on goal all game. There you go. There's the reason for your big money transfer to Dusan Vlahovic. We all know that Juventus are looking to crack that top 4 spot. Are Milan still in the hunt for the Scudetto? All will be decided in the next 2 match days in Serie A, where the league leaders Inter take on Milan and Napoli back to back. So watch this space and make sure you're watching the Serie A roundtable at the same time. Whew. Last one. This has been fun. France, Ligue 1. I've taken a little bit more of an interest in it recently because I absolutely love the Casa de Ligne podcast on the Breaking the Lines network, run by Jeremy. I had him on this show, had him on this platform recently. Go check it out if you like. It's a really short but sweet chat about all things French football, including Les Bleus, the national team. But let's just focus on the domestic league for now. Marco Verratti scored twice. Sergio Ramos scored his first goal, and Danilo Pereira scored in a 4-0 rout for PSG as they pretty much look to take this league by the horns again. They'll win it. They will win it. No questions asked about that. They're sitting pretty at the top of the league, unbothered, 11 points clear of Nice and 13 points clear of Marseille. So we don't even need to talk about that particular league right now in terms of who's going to come out on top. Montpellier defeated Monaco 3-2 in a really good game. Why he scored in the 13th minute. It was 2-0. Ava Mavididi made it 2-0. Ben Yedder scored a great goal. I know a couple of Inter fans wouldn't mind seeing him in our colours. And Van Dezen made it 2-2. But Mavididi once again scoring in stoppage time, and that was a really good win and good points for Montpellier as well. They're having a really good season, so that was a really tightly contested, the most tightly contested game of the match day, I would say. Besides maybe the Bordeaux 4-3 rout over Strasbourg, a rout in terms of goals, not in terms of margin, but Huang ended up scoring a hat-trick for those guys, and that was really, really good to see. He scored the last one in stoppage time as well. There was a goal in the 97th minute for Abdul Majid Waris, but it wasn't enough. So that looked like a really interesting one. And go watch the extended highlights if anybody can. I recommend it. Dimitri Payet scored from the spot as Marseille got 3 points as well against Lens. Marseille just looking for a Champions League spot, as Jeremy, who is a Marseille fan, said on this show last week, or on this podcast last week, that he's just expecting Marseille to challenge really, really strongly for those Champions League spots and hopefully return there because there is a side that deserves to be there. Brest 2, Lille 0. Another disappointing result for Lille. You know, after doing so well to come and win the title last season, their side was a little bit dissembled, I should say. But they're sitting down in 10th, halfway down the standings, just expecting to restore some pride for the rest of the campaign. Lyon 1-0. Moussa Dembele scores the spot from the spot against Saint-Etienne. Lyon desperate to keep getting some points and get their pride back in a good position. Saint-Etienne, a team with so much history, it looks like they're going to look at that suffering the drop. Something that they haven't seen. They're not too familiar with their fans, so that's a sad one there. Nantes 4, Lorient 0 as well in more of a mid-table clash, but Lorient, I thought that they'd be better this season. I remember last season there was a few promising signs coming into the season as well. A couple of their better players were looking at staying. Moffy scored. It's good to see him playing well, but I just don't think it'll end well for them. And the other two match, Clermont 2, Rennes 1, and Metz 0, Nice 2. What a season Nice are having. It really is a really, really good one. Thuram and Guerri with the goals over there. Guys, that's pretty much where we're going to wrap it up. Pretty much I'm going to wrap up this show of the European Weekly Catch-Up. I want to thank Bruno and Jono for letting me take the reins for this one. Thanks to the few people who came into the chat. I know we don't usually do lives very often on this platform, but hey, to get 5 or 6 of you in here, it's all baby steps and we'll get there. Balkan Warrior, it's good to see you in here, my bro. Switching over the platforms. Gallia more goals than Messi. A true goat. For those who don't know, he's talking about Roberto Gagliardini. Oh, man, he's one of a kind at Inter. You know, don't try too hard to tune into his balling because there's not too much to see. Guys, if you are new to the platform, make sure you like and subscribe. From all of us here at Football Worldwide, we will see you at some point very, very soon. Thank you. Ciao.